I've never been someone to make a big deal out of the little things. You know, the typical suburban life. Work hard, keep to myself, enjoy a peaceful home. That was until one Tuesday morning when my life went from quiet to absolutely absurd. It was about 7:43 a.m. when the doorbell rang right in the middle of an important video call with a client in Tokyo. I was sipping my coffee, trying to stay professional, when the chime nearly made me spill my drink all over my laptop. I had to quickly mute the call, push the laptop aside, and head to the door, hoping it was just some kid selling candy or one of those door-to-door salespeople I could easily ignore. But nope. Standing there was a woman I had never met before. She was tapping her foot, arms crossed, wearing a pink velour tracksuit that probably cost more than my monthly car payment, with a look on her face like she was waiting for a bus that was never going to show up. She looked like the type of person who always had a complaint, always had something to say, and was already angry before you even said a word. "Are you the owner of this house?" she demanded, without so much as a hello or good morning. I nodded slowly. "Yeah, I am. Can I help you with something?" Without skipping a beat, she introduced herself as Karen Bellwether from down the street, 1289 Cedar Heights Drive. Now, I'm usually good with names and faces, but I didn't recognize her. Doesn't mean much. People tend to keep to themselves in the neighborhood, so I brushed it off. What she said next, though, threw me completely off guard. "I've been trying to connect to your Wi-Fi network for the past 2 weeks, and it keeps asking for a password," she said. "I need you to give me the password right now." I blinked a couple of times, unsure if I had misheard her. "Wait, what? You want my Wi-Fi password?" "Yes," she replied, her tone impatient. "I can see your Wi-Fi signal from my house. That means it's available for everyone to use." At this point, I thought I might have stepped into some alternate universe where normal social interactions didn't exist. "Ma'am, that's my personal Wi-Fi," I said, keeping my tone even. "I pay for it, and it's password protected for a reason." Her face shifted from a light pink to an angry lobster red in seconds. "But I can see it. That means it's for everyone," she snapped, as if I was the one in the wrong for not sharing my Wi-Fi with a complete stranger. Trying to remain calm, I said, "Just because you can see my network doesn't mean you can use it. It's like seeing a car in my driveway. You don't just walk up and take it for a spin." Her eyes narrowed, and she scoffed. "Don't lecture me about technology, young man. I've been using computers since before you were born." I looked at her, 32 years old, "But sure, okay. Ma'am, I understand you need internet access, but you're going to have to get your own service. I can give you the number for the cable company if you like." She didn't like that answer. At all. "You're being selfish," she shouted, and before I knew it, she stormed off my porch, still muttering something into her phone. I wasn't sure if she was calling someone or just venting to herself, but something told me this wasn't going to be the last I'd see of her. Sure enough, 20 minutes later, I was back on my video call with Tokyo, trying to regain some semblance of professionalism, when I heard sirens. Not just one or two, but several. My heart dropped into my stomach as I stepped outside, and what did I see? 2 police cars parked in front of my house. One of the officers, Officer Bellingham, walked up with a notepad out. "Sir, are you Jerome Thompson, resident of 1247 Cedar Heights Drive?" "Yes, that's me," I said, not sure where this was going. "Is everything okay?" He glanced at his partner, Officer Chun, and then back at me. "We received a 911 call about a theft situation." I stared at him. "I'm sorry, what?" "A theft," Officer Bellingham repeated. "The caller says you're stealing her internet." I laughed. Out loud. "Stealing her internet?" "Yeah," Officer Chin said with a raised eyebrow, clearly just as confused as I was. "We have to respond to all 911 calls, even the creative ones." And that's when I saw Karen again, marching up the street like she was leading some one-woman parade of righteousness. This time, she was carrying a folder, waving it around like she was a lawyer presenting a case. "There he is," she shouted, pointing at me like I was a criminal. That's the thief. I tried to keep my cool. Officers, this morning, Mrs. Bellwether came to my door and demanded my Wi-Fi password. When I explained that it's a private network, she got upset. Now, she's calling the police on me for stealing her internet. I haven't stolen anything from anyone. But Karen wasn't about to back down. He's broadcasting his signal into my house, she shrieked. This is psychological warfare. Ma'am, internet theft isn't really a thing like that, Officer Chen said, trying to keep a straight face. Of course it is, Karen snapped, rifling through her folder for some kind of proof. It's in the law of electromagnetic property rights, she said with absolute certainty, pulling out what looked like a printout from a conspiracy theory website. Officer Bellingham rubbed his temples. Ma'am, that website doesn't look like a legitimate source. Karen was undeterred. It's from legalpatriot.com. They specialize in property rights that the government doesn't want you to know about. At this point, I was done. Officers, look, this is absurd. I have a password-protected Wi-Fi network in my own home. She's not entitled to it. This is all on VY Deo. And so, the absurdity of the situation reached its peak. After a few more minutes of Karen ranting about internet oppression, the officers gave up, promising to file a report about the misuse of emergency SARE VYCS. The officers left, and I was relieved that it was over. Or so I thought. A week of quiet ensued. I had started to think maybe Karen had come to her senses. Maybe she had finally found a solution for her connective Wi-Fi issues. I should have known better. On Saturday morning, as I was watering my front garden, I heard Karen's voice carrying across the street. Theft! Theft! This man is stealing from me. I looked up and saw her marching down the sidewalk, now flanked by a small entourage of neighbors and a teenager I didn't recognize, holding a sign that read, "Saw Stop Wi-Fi Theft" in bold red letters. Saw. Karen, no one is stealing anything, I said as I stepped toward the front fence. She stopped in front of my house. You're hoarding all the internet, she shouted, gesturing dramatically at my house. You have internet access and refuse to share it with us. I couldn't help myself. Big internet. I asked, are you serious? The crowd was visibly uncomfortable, but Karen didn't care. She was on a mission to take what wasn't hers. It was clear at that point that Karen's BHVY was escalating from petty nuisance to something much more sinister. She had recruited a small crowd of followers, and with each passing day, her claims got wilder. She had even started a live stream, documenting her fight for digital equality. But it was the next step that truly worried me. One night, Karen and her followers attempted to break into my home, tampering with the cables that brought my internet SARE VYC into the house. That's when I realized this was no longer a neighborhood dispute. This was becoming a full-on harassment campaign. I called the police, and when they arrived, Karen was arrested for trespassing and attempting to tamper with my property. But the story didn't end there. Karen's arrest was just the beginning. The next morning, the entire neighborhood buzzed with the news of her antics. But it wasn't just about Wi-Fi anymore. It was about power, control, and an obsession with taking what didn't belong to her. The next few weeks saw her escalating, but with the police, the neighborhood, and even her own nephew turning against her, it was clear that Karen's grip on reality had snapped. She had made her way into the court system, and the EVY Denke we gathered led to her convicted. In the end, Karen was arrested, tried, and convicted for harassment, stalking, and even a federal violation for her online active ties. She was sentenced to 2 years in prison. As for me, I kept my Wi-Fi network name as Karen Freezone and upgraded to the fastest package available. My neighborhood remained peaceful, and I even started a community Wi-Fi sharing program. So, here's the thing. Sometimes people like Karen come into your life with their delusions of control, but it's how you handle them that matters. It wasn't just about the Wi-Fi password. It was about standing up for yourself, for your property, and for the truth. Now, I want to hear from you. What would you do in my position? Let me know in the comments. Would you have stood your ground, or let Karen take your Wi-Fi for the greater good?